skin restoration specialist in Newport Beach, California. I'm going to go over this patient who is of Asian descent and how I treated his acne scars tonight. So I'll go through that. I'll just wait for a few more moments. We had a little bit of technical difficulties initially, so I'll wait for a few more people to join us and be able to ask some questions. And then I'll just kind of go through and hopefully give some explanations and provide a little bit of hope for patients who have been kind of lost in this whole confusion when it comes to scars and pigmentation. I guess I'm not going to try to reset it again because I know this is working on some formats, but it's just not working on others. That's okay. So I'll just keep on going for today. As long as you guys could hear me, let's just make sure everybody could hear us okay. There was a bit of an error that occurred a couple times, but if you guys are okay, I'll continue going. Just let me know if there's any issues. Let's see, I'll try to fix a bit of this format here. And I think it should be okay. Okay, so for those again just joining us, I am Dr. Qazi. I do acne, I do scars, I do hyperpigmentation. And I'm going to walk you through just this process here for this patient who is of Asian descent, actually a medical student, and was really concerned about his scars, but also didn't want to go to somebody who wasn't comfortable with his skin type. He already had a little bit of hyperpigmentation. Also, he had some red marks on his face as well, something called post-inflammatory erythema, and just in general felt that he had very, very sensitive skin. And so he wanted to be really careful in making sure that when this was treated, there wouldn't be a problem. So I took it really seriously, that responsibility. Somebody actually, he was saying that he wants to go into this world, potentially into dermatology or so. And he just feels that because of his acne and his scars, he'd be able to empathize a little bit better for his patients. And you can see for this patient already a significant improvement. And so we started this process in July of last year. And now you can see here when we took this photo, this is January of this year, and you can see that improvement of his skin quality. You can see that his pigmentation is actually improved. That was one of his big concerns, was just to make sure that he doesn't have excess pigmentation issues after we do these treatments. And you can see, look at his pigmentation looks excellent. Everything looks really, really good. Skin quality is amazing. And, it's awesome to be able to have that. Sure, he still has some scarring, he still has a little bit. When he came in, he's actually from out of state. So when he came in, we were able to just keep on working on this. We did a little bit more TCA cross for him. And then I did some Bellafill for him as well. So he'll continue to get excellent results. I think, the more I see him, the more I can kind of just fine tune it as it gets more and more superficial too. We'll just keep on softening up the edges of these scars. And so it's going to be really, really good. So if you look at this patient again, he's Asian descent, and he had a little bit of hyperpigmentation, some red marks as well as some brown marks as well. So complex type of scars, complex skin, and we were still able to get and to achieve really, really beautiful results there. Mostly with TCA cross, laser. We did do a little bit of Bellafill as well in some subcision. And this is about 6 months out afterwards now, and you can see that improvement there. He did come in between that time, though. We did do a little bit more Bellafill and some more TCA cross for him. Really just to continue to do TCA cross is really going to be one of the key things for him. So I'm really happy with it. He's happy with it. And it's just like one of these things that we could kind of showcase over and over again, that even in skin of color, we're able to do this very, very safely. We're able to do this effectively. So there's really no reason that, if anybody tells you that you just have to live with your scars, or if anybody says that, there's just nothing you could do, or they just try to sell you some nonsense type of treatment, just pay attention to the fact that there are ways of doing this. It's just maybe different than what that practitioner is doing. And, maybe there's something that they're missing or they're not familiar with, or, they shouldn't even be doing it, to be honest with you. A lot of people just shouldn't even be doing these treatments. And unfortunately they do, but that's kind of one of the biggest problems that I've noticed, is that people sometimes do treatments and do things on patients when they probably shouldn't even be touching them. Let's put it that way. Can the depth scarring ever get perfectly flat? Well, it depends. If it's pretty like superficial, then it's kind of easier, but not necessarily completely flat. I think that's kind of, whenever we're doing these patients, whenever I'm doing these consultations with the patients, I should say, I always like to talk to everybody about just like what the realistic outcomes could be. And it's really important really just to go through this and understand that you're not going to get the glass skin that maybe sometimes you may have expected. And sometimes people showcase that way and things like that. It's not true that you're going to be able to really get that for vast majority of patients. A lot of things are factoring into this. Part of it is ethnicity. I do think that plays a role. Genetics, ethnicity, your diet, all those things factor into it. How well your acne is under control, your oil is under control. You can see, for example, in this case, his skin quality itself is a lot better. His acne is under control. So those things really do matter, really they do. Can you get rid of these scars 90% with an ointment? No. This patient, he's been doing tretinoin for a long time and didn't really improve it enough there. Does Fraxel work well on tethered scars or is CO2 better on Asian Fitzpatrick? Well, Fraxel isn't going to work really much for tethered scars, really, but none of these lasers are really going to help much for that. Really what you're going to probably need to do is subcision or just putting a little bit of volume in there if you're able to do that, if it's like superficial tethering. But you usually want to go in there and break up that scar tissue. So Fraxel is not going to help much for that. Hey Dre, how's it going? How many sessions was this? This was, we did one big combination session, and then we did about 2 more TCA crosses. And when he came in for this day, we did a little bit more TCA cross and some Bellafill. So it's not necessarily the same session. That's the thing. So it's like different things. Where was I at? I missed a few things. How do you feel about Good Molecules discoloration correcting serum? I haven't played around with that one. If you want something that's not a bit on a budget though, try Eucerin's anti-pigment cream. That's a good one to do. Are the dangers of Botox enough to stay away? Well, the thing with Botox is that it's temporary. So if you are worried about like brow drops or things like that, that's still a temporary effect. It's not a permanent effect. There's not really anything else that's particularly that I would say is a danger. Really, it's everything's temporary with it. Finished first session of Vbeam and a cure. Any tips on recovery? Vbeam is a little bit aggressive when you're doing a cure at the same day, but it's okay. It's a different wavelength, so it's possible to do, but you are going to feel a little bit more dry. You may have a little bit more scabbing. So usually you want to combine that with something like Vanity Cream or CeraVe. Really make sure that you're moisturizing a lot, because that's probably going to be the biggest thing you're going to notice. Hi Audrey, how's it going? Good seeing you on again. Can you use CO2 lasers while pregnant? I mean, technically, it's absorbing water. It's not actually going to penetrate into the uterus, but we never do any lasers while pregnant. Audrey's saying, I have a question. Is it normal for scars to look more prominent 2 to 3 weeks after subcision and CO2? Yes, really, especially because of the oil production. You will see that your scars sometimes get a little bit more dilated too. It's just, one thing, and I was talking to a patient the other day, and she was saying that there were like these marks after the laser, but actually it was, I zoomed in on her photos, and actually she always had some raised scars actually, and she was thinking that was from the laser, but it was actually the exact same thing, was just the raised scars that she had. So sometimes what happens is she goes, yeah, I'm looking at my skin all the time. I'm looking at her different light and things like that. Sometimes you start obsessing so much over the first several weeks. And so it's like kind of just relax about things and just, calm down for a bit. And you'll see that as your oil gets under control, it is going to look a lot better. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Mohammed is saying, I tried subcision once and it did not work. How many more sessions do I need? I have ice pick scars. Well, it may not have been the best thing for ice pick scars. I'm not sure, if you necessarily needed it for ice pick scars. I'm not sure, it's tough for me to really say. But it's also, the thing is that it depends on who did the subcision. I had a patient that flew in. I was saying this whole week because it was shocking to me. She did 11 sessions of subcision and 20 to 30 sessions of laser, and there was still so much scar tissue in there. So it's like, it's not about, how many sessions you did or anything like that. Sometimes it's just about who you went to, how they did it, and what kind of scars you have. Best products for hyperpigmentation. So what else? Yeah, so I'll circle back to the person who's asking about the budget product for hyperpigmentation. Eucerin's anti-pigment cream. That's actually a really good one. It's got diamidol, which they have a patent on, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because it is a good product, and it's just it'd be nice if it was used in a lot of different things. I had a patient that just sometimes I just put it on that for the body, especially. It's nice, and it was like we didn't really have to do much more, in terms of laser or anything like that. It just like it did a good job lightening up. So I do like Eucerin's anti-pigment cream. Is tretinoin a hoax? I didn't even know that anybody was thinking it was a hoax. I think there's enough data now, enough people know that's really good. I've been using it since I was 16 years old. It's good to double, fair enough. I guess it's good to double check to make sure that things aren't hoaxes nowadays. Definitely I've been using it for I was 16 years old. It's a really, really great. It's cheap. It's good. In fact, I think that the thing is they try to actually push you away from doing tretinoin because it's so effective, and they're trying to use other random creams to try to get the same effect that something like tretinoin would get. And it's that's kind of probably the hoax. I think if we're talking about hoax, that's probably is. What concentration do you use for TCA cross? Volong is asking us that. So I go through pretty much any concentration. It's anywhere from 30 to 90% for scars. In this patient, it's varies depending on the depth of the scars, his skin type, all those things factor into it. So I don't use just the same concentration. Treatment for suture scars, probably the easiest thing to start with is just going to be to use a little bit of silicone tape. That's probably the easiest thing. Muhammad is saying, thank you. If I was to come on a Friday to get TCA and CO2, can I return to work on Monday? Usually it depends on if you're client facing or what your job is. It probably would be about at least 4 days, but 4 to 7 days usually. How to know if subcision needed for a scar? So you can see when you're kind of smiling is one way, smile, you'll see it kind of bend and fold there. You'll be able to see that. That's actually one of the things I'm doing when I'm testing the scars and seeing if it's something worth subcising. But you also may need to take a look and see if, when you're pulling on the skin, you can see if the scar is pulling with it. So it's, just let us take care of it though, because it's kind of complex to be able to tell. And sometimes I don't even have to pull, I can see that there is a little bit there, and I'll confirm it by just testing it there. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a rolling scar there. And you could just, pull back on it, and you can see it's definitely really tethered there. And most scars do get some form of tethering, to be honest with you. Most scars have a little bit, but sometimes it's just really superficial. But it's important to pay attention to that. That's something that there's going to be some form of tethering the vast majority of the time. And that's why sometimes I do it just for patients with ice pick scars. I do. Victoria's saying, I've heard of people aging with CO2, so I'm scared, but want to try it someday for acne scarring. Well, I'm not sure exactly what that means about aging for it, but it's, it's done correctly. If it's done correctly, there's a really, really beautiful outcome that could be waiting for you. It just depends on, I guess, who you're going to and how it's being done. What did I do for the dark brown pigmentation on his skin? This is just with our pigmentation cream that we're using for him. So you could go on our website, you could get that actually out as well. But that's with the pigmentation cream there. So suture scars, I answered that earlier, but essentially you could start with silicone tape. You could also do a little bit, if it is thicker, you may need a little bit of a steroid, sometimes also lasers to help with that. Hopefully, how are you guys doing with the fire? Anybody over here in LA area? A lot of our patients canceled today. It's just been terrible for everybody. A lot of things. It's just affecting a lot of people, and then staff are worried about their family that are up there. I don't know if anybody is over in that area right now, but a lot of people now had to evacuate. So hopefully everything gets more calm tomorrow. But crazy situation actually, crazy stuff. Opinions on microneedling, not going to help too much for a vast majority of scars, really not going to help too much for that. But it does help with, just a little mild texture, like a little bit of that, but very, very mild, not really much for scars. Let's see here. Audrey's saying, I'm in Vegas, but I have a lot of family in California, but in San Bernardino County. It'll be okay over there. Yeah, it's, it's really really crazy. I mean, like Joey's saying, it's pretty insane when you actually look at it. Like what is happening? Like the world is really like just burning in front of us. It's like it's I don't know. I'm not sure why it's kind of just accepted still. I don't know. Opinion on Zio Abaji products. I have a lot of opinions about that actually. I find a lot of it is pretty harsh, especially for acne prone skin. I'll put it that way. I think it's really, really harsh. I think that the like physical exfoliants aren't great. I think it's just, not really my thing. Should I try tretinoin for scars before these mini surgeries? Sure, you could try it. It'll help with the oil production, but it's not going to solve the vast majority of scars, to be honest with you, especially these kind of thick scars. Odom is saying, the place I go to recommended Cynosure laser. Is that the latest in technology? For what? I'm not sure what they're referring to. There's so many different lasers out there. Just the thing is that it's not about the laser. It's about how you do it. So just, I'm not sure if anybody's pushing a laser on you for something and saying that because they have this, this particular device, it's they're going to give you excellent results. It's just not true. I was actually watching something. It was actually kind of interesting. It was like from 8 years ago. It just came up on my feed on YouTube because I was just testing to see, making sure that's going through on YouTube right now. And I was seeing this thing. It was like from like this famous show, and this guy's talking about like acne scars, and it was like a plastic surgeon. He was on like the show that for physicians, and it was like just so ridiculous. It was just so ridiculous the way that they're acting. Like just like a single session of Fraxel for her severe scars, like her ice pick scars too, was going to be enough for it. And I don't know what the game plan was there. And it was even on like the on Netflix. I don't know if you guys ever watched that Netflix show, the one with the plastic surgery stuff. They had an acne scars thing there too, and it was another one that was pretty questionable there. And they were saying with like the halo laser, they got like significant. It was like the best part about the whole thing is that they said it was like with the halo laser, they like cured this patient's like severe scarring. And then they show like afterwards, and she's like with makeup. But the thing is that anybody with like scars knows, I guess the people that were doing the set, like the makeup artists, didn't realize that like with these scars, it's not going to really help so much. You still see like super, super deep, significant scarring. And she did like a single session of halo, and they're acting like this is like, I don't know what the thing was over there with that, but they're acting as if that was the solution for its deep acne scars. And that's the kind of stuff that's really problematic out there. So I don't, I think just kind of look at that and like, kind of wonder about why is it that people push these things and they're not actually, as effective. Maybe they're paid by companies. I don't know. Can the scarring be further improved with more sessions? Yes, we did more sessions that day when he came in. So yes, it'll continue to get better. Would subcision for scars need to be done still after deep plane facelift? Actually, that patient that I was talking about from Romania, she had a facelift, and it helped a little bit with her scars. You may not have to do subcision for like everywhere, but like in certain areas, there's still probably going to be something because maybe the surgeon didn't go in there and undermine that tissue or something. I'm not sure, but sometimes there is a little pocket of scar tissue that we have to go through. Danish is saying, are there any natural remedies that help with scarring, specifically acne scars? Good question. I mean, vitamin A, which is tretinoin, does help, and it's natural. It does help with scars a little bit because it's going to reduce your oil production and help with the diameter of it. But otherwise, not really going to be too many things that are going to help, especially in terms of natural remedies for scars. Topical things, there's not really much that helps with that. Are these considered severe scars? I would classify these as more as moderate to severe. Not because the depth of the scars is particularly terrible, but just that it was pretty extensive with the amount of surface area for the face, and there were more complex type scars. So yes, these would be considered more moderate to severe. I have a smile line wrinkle. What can I do? Well, maybe it's something due to volume loss in the mid cheek. So you may need to consider doing a little bit of Sculptra or Radiesse or Bellafill in the mid cheek, or just regular HA filler there. That's an idea. Or you may need to put a little bit of Bellafill directly in the smile line itself. What is the treatment? So this patient, we did subcision, we did TCA cross, we did lasers. I did CO2 laser as well as Vbeam laser. And then we also did some Bellafill, and then we did a couple more rounds of Bellafill and TCA cross. And we only been working on him since July. So really, really amazing already. This is going to get better just over the next several months. Which scars need Bellafill here? Well, there's still a little bit of pocket of volume loss. That's like probably, if you look at where his cheekbone is, you can see that fat loss right there still. So that's where I would put it in there. Confetti saying amazing result, doctor. I appreciate you, Confetti. Thank you. Do you do Sculptra? Yeah, I do a lot of Sculptra. I usually do it deep to the bone, and I do in small little spots over there and just kind of like little micro droplets on the bone. And that works incredibly well for it, like incredibly. The other ways I do it is actually, in this case, for example, I did it actually through the laser channel holes. So I do that as well to actually stimulate more collagen production. So there's a lot of different options, actually. It turns out that there's a lot of different ways of doing this. And it's not just about like an energy device. It's not just about the laser. It's about how we're doing this and undermining the scar tissue and, breaking it up. And then helping especially with the TCA for those deep pockets, those deep scars. Do you prescribe low-dose Accutane for oily skin, large pores? Yeah, absolutely. I just did 2 patients today for a lot of times I do just really low dose though for patients just if it's just mild oil production. And I just do it even just a couple times a week actually. It works out really well for that. If my acne scars are minimum, what process do you suggest? Well, it depends. I'm not sure how minimal it is, what kind of scars. If it's just pretty mild, I guess just start with tretinoin. But if it's something where it's not really budging, not improving too much, then come to someone like me. I'll try to see what I can do with that. What's my opinion on Fraxel? Well, it's not going to help much with these kind of scars. That's the thing. What do you think of, where was that? I saw another thing about radio frequency microneedling to improve scars. My doctor wants to do it because I have dark skin. Not going to help much, really. And when you're doing it for scars, you probably are using too much heat, too much energy. It could end up melting some of the fat. So not something I prefer. How long did it take? So we started this process in July, and now we just took this photo here in January here, just probably a week ago or so. Let's see here. I missed a few things here, but I'll try to circle back. I know that there's a couple of other questions from other things here, so I'll try to get to that in just a few moments. But if you had a couple more questions, let me know. Yeah, we haven't shown this results, anywhere else, so you guys are seeing it first. I haven't been able to stream on other platforms today, so you guys are the only ones here on certain ones. We'll have to see actually. Also, what are we going to do? It looks like TikTok is going to get banned. We got to take a look and see what we're going to do about that, because I really like the community on here. I like the chat. I like everything on here. So I'm not sure. We got to come up with some options there for that, because I actually want to keep doing this, but I don't know. Like, where are we going to go? Where do you guys want to go? I'm thinking like YouTube, probably, maybe, but I'm not sure. It's kind of tough because it's like this was a good program that we had on here. With this format, I think that was it was a really nice chat group and things like that. So we may have to go to something else though. So I want you guys to think about that, because it looks like it may end up happening like in another week or so. They've said that if they don't get the Supreme Court, it may end up happening. And I don't think they're going to get the Supreme Court. I think the administration probably is going to get probably reverse it eventually. I don't know, but for a while, I don't know. Mama fan is saying, hello, I will get a treatment done tomorrow. I have acne ice pick scars. They advised me to do Morpheus 8 with laser CO2 combined. What do you think of that combination? For ice pick scars, probably not the best option. Probably not the best option, honestly, for that. Really more likely you would need a TCA cross or excision. So, you're doing it tomorrow, so good luck with that, but I'm not sure. Skin Doctor Plastic MD, hi, how's it going? Thank you for saying that. Let's see here. What was used in the pick? So this was with TCA cross, this was Subcision, this was with Bellafill. So this was a few different things together. Subcision, I think I mentioned. CO2 laser, Vbeam laser. This is a patient of Asian descent. Really, really nice gentleman. Also a medical student trying to go into this world too eventually. So pretty cool that we're getting that and trying to getting the skin that he was hoping for. And it's actually pretty cool, because it's like, I wish I had that when I was in med school. I wish I had it when I was younger. It was like something I was kind of frustrated with. And it's really, really nice, because you no longer have to stress about that aspect of things. Like, believe it or not, it's actually kind of interesting. It's like sometimes it just does distract you, even when you're studying. Like, you're thinking to yourself that, like, gosh, on top of everything else, that you have these things, or like you have acne or something like that. It's like, it just like brings you down. Even then, sometimes it gets people not to study as well. Let's see here. Melly's saying, if Bellafill is temporary, will the skin go back to the way it is? It's not quite exactly temporary though. Like 20% of it stays there, and they haven't found that it ever goes away. So I haven't found it to go away. So I've had patients for years and years and years who had Bellafill done, and a lot of times elsewhere, things like that, and it's still there. So 20% of it stays there, and that's good because and that collagen production isn't good. It's excellent, so it gives you some support there. You'll continue to have some collagen, but I mean, I know that people don't like the fact that things aren't just like 100% permanent. It's only 20% that's there. But there's no real other option really for this. Like if you have volume loss, you gotta do something for the volume loss. And here's a great product, which is the only FDA approved product for acne scars, and works incredibly well. Do you think laser CO2 by itself will work on ice pick scars? Probably not, actually. It's more likely you needed TCA cross and potentially excisions, but TCA cross is one of the biggest things there for that. Is there any solution for big pores? Well, it's really going to be about controlling your oil, and that can involve like tretinoin, that can involve Accutane. All those could be good options there for you. Or something like the Cure laser, but it's really more of like an oil control. So it just all depends. You could do like microdosing of Accutane if it's a lot of oil production. Is there any solution? Oh, I think I got that one there. What is Bellafill made out of? Bellafill is made out of 20% PMMA and 80% bovine collagen. So basically cow collagen and something called PMMA. The PMMA continues to go there, and you could continue to make collagen around it. Does Bellafill migrate? Really, I haven't had any problems with that. There's a way to do that so it doesn't, you don't run into any problems. I think that, a lot of people just have poor technique when they inject in general. They put too much product in certain areas. I dissolved 2 cases today of patients who had gotten done with Juvederm elsewhere, and there were like these big balls in the mid cheek. And that's where these problems occur. It's like they put so much filler in the mid cheek, and then when people smile, they animate. It like shifts a lot, and you get like these big apples that occur there. And it never happens with me when I do Bellafill. There's a way to do it where it could just stay there. So, and I've had my plastic surgeon partner, she goes in there to do facelifts after I do Bellafill. She says it looks and feels just like real skin, just like the regular skin. That's all it is. Was that person, so I'm up is asking, was that person satisfied with his results, or did he want an extra touch up? Awesome before and afters, by the way. So he's super satisfied right now, super satisfied. And I think it's kind of a little bit sooner than he would have even expected some of these results. And when he came in, we did a little bit more Bellafill and a little bit more TCA. So he's going to continue to get better and better results. What would be the best budget to get done? Expect about $5,000 to $7,000 for vast majority of patients for their scars. What procedure is recommended when you see scars just in certain lighting? It may just end up being a little bit of texture, then probably just a few laser sessions is probably what's going to help with that. How does Accutane affect scarring? Well, it's basically going to help with reducing your oil production, which then could stimulate a collagen response. So that's how it works. I didn't get an answer from you guys about where we're gonna go next week. I think it's next week, isn't it? Is the band gonna be next week? I think it's gonna be next week. We gotta take a look at that. We gotta see. I think I'll run some polls over this. I'll tell my team to run some polls this next couple of weeks. We gotta see what's going on. Yeah, maybe YouTube. I think YouTube will be good. It looks YouTube's chat right now is just popping right now too. IG, yeah, I'll do that as well there too. Somehow it gives me problems sometimes on there, but yeah, it lags too much. This is like a clearer format. Another problem with IG is that it doesn't like show to new people all the time. They just and they kind of like sometimes just shadow ban me. So, but I'll be on there. I'll do it. But like the problem is that you have to. I mean, definitely like put your notifications on. By the way, on IG, because sometimes they just don't even tell people. Is there any way at all an insurance can cover this? I wish they could one day, but I don't. I mean, the way things are going, I doubt it. It's like they canceled a bunch of home insurance just like 2 months before this happened. So I doubt that's going to happen. The more you look at it, I don't think that's going to happen. It turns out like a whole bunch of people's insurance got canceled. A whole bunch of people. It's crazy. It's literally insane. And then imagine like your home insurance got canceled, and then there's like this crazy situation just with a fire, just burned down everything. Unbelievable, right? When you actually think about that. What are your thoughts on subcision for pitted acne scars? Well, yeah, it could be necessary if it's really like kind of densely packed. Then yeah, you may have to go in there and actually break up that manually, even if it's just ice pick scars. It's possible. It just depends on in the location. Depends on really like if it's really like kind of like high concentration of a bunch of those. How much does something like this cost? This is about $5,000 to $7,000 for most patients. How do I feel about PRP microneedling? It's gonna be not effective for these kind of scars. I was just answering that question from someone else about microneedling, but now it was at the PRP portion. PRP can help a little bit with the healing process, but not gonna help much with this stuff. What is the most subcision a person can do to their face? Just try to do it one time. Don't do multiple times. Shouldn't be doing multiple times. Is dermaplaning bad? No, it's not bad. But just don't nick yourself. But it's not bad. Is this $5,000 to $7,000 for all sessions done so far? No, I think it's probably would be more for people with more volume loss. But if it's just like, relatively mild, then we could probably between $3,000 to $5,000, but more severe or more moderate to severe, $5,000 to $7,000. I think this is my last question. Is it okay to do CO2 laser if you have cold urticaria? Yes, it is. That's okay. If subcision and nucleophil, will it help for scars? I'm guessing I'm missing that thing. I think there's probably a typo or something like that. Can you talk about the peel that could cause a heart attack? Yeah, that's the phenol peel, and essentially it could cause an arrhythmia because it could block the junction in the heart. There's basically a potassium junction that's there that it could block, and then you could end up getting really severe arrhythmias. And those arrhythmias can cause something called ventricular tachycardia, and that's what ends up actually happening for every once in a while when you hear of somebody that potentially died from the phenol peel. That's actually likely what happened. They ended up going to ventricular tachycardia and dying. And you will see that there's some people that do that stuff just in an office setting, without anybody like assisting, like an anesthesiologist or anything like that. And they don't have appropriate medications, things like this. So there's a lot of risk with these things. And I take it very, very seriously. You got to do a lot of blood work. We got to make sure it's very, very careful, very, very safe for patients. But it's possible that if you're going to somebody who's doesn't know how to do that, and doesn't know the medicine of it, doesn't know how to interpret EKGs, then it's possible that you can run into problems with something like a phenol. Nadir is saying, did you just put that name up there for me? Do you know any good clinics in the East Coast to approach for complex scar treatments? No, I don't. There's hardly anybody in the world, honestly. Honestly, I'm just thinking like honest. Like if it was my own family, if they couldn't come to me or something like that, it's like I'm not sure. There's not like hardly anybody out there. Daniel's saying, if subcision and nucleophil, will it help for deep scars after I had CO2 and Slyfrim? I'm not sure what nucleophil is. I'm not sure what that is. You see, sometimes if I don't know what it is, I'll just say it and I'll just try to look it up because I'm not sure what that is. Let's see, what is nucleophil? Is a skin treatment that uses polynucleotides to stimulate collagen and elastin production. Okay. Oh, so we don't even have it available over here. That's why I'm not familiar with it. I guess I'll take a look into it some more. And Google is just so terrible with its results. It's just so bad, and that's why. Anyways, back in the day, it's kind of like it used to be really good. Like in like the 2000s, like we had an amazing time with the internet. It was awesome. We had like MySpace. It was like you could put like music up on there. And you had Google, you had like a lot of cool stuff, and then like everything went to like garbage. Look at this; it's just like the search results are just terrible now. Yeah. What do you think of subcision with calcium filler? I wouldn't do the calcium filler really the same day as subcision. I'll probably do that later on. I want to know how they got their face so clear though, even with those scars. That's what I came in. I did. So I did with TCA cross, and I did it with subcision, and I did lasers, and I did Bellafill, and that's how we got that there. What was my MySpace song? Awesome, you guys remember MySpace? I think mine was "Karma Police" by Radiohead. I think so. I was like a really into Radiohead at that era. I think it was like early 2000s, probably like around that. I was really, like Coldplay and Radiohead were my like two big things, and like so. Yeah, you remember Karma Police? Yeah, Karma Police is amazing, actually, amazing song. I used to go through that song, and you probably remember then because it was like just with albums and stuff like that. I would just like listen to it over and over. That was like my thing. And especially like studying just like Karma Police, it was awesome. Yeah, the nostalgia, it was awesome. Honestly, if you actually look at it, and I actually just want you guys to think about it. It's not because I'm like old, like, well, maybe it is though, but like the 2000s was actually an amazing era. Like just that decade of 2000 to 2010, maybe not even up to 2010, but like it was an awesome decade if you actually look at it in terms of like music, in terms of like TV, movies. Everything was just like top tier, and like the internet was amazing. Actually, it wasn't like crazy like trolls everywhere and like all that kind of stuff. It was like I said, like the MySpace era, which was actually fine. I didn't mind the MySpace era, and like just like a lot of stuff that's like it was pretty good. And then it's like, I don't know what this is now. So imagine like it just like in a decade it just got terrible, and now like nobody even knows what that internet was like. It's just disappeared. It's really terrible, actually. It's really kind of sad when you actually look at it. Like, there's a whole generation of people that are just going to know AI-generated content, which is just nonsense stuff that they pull up there. User 44 is saying, I have bad acne scars. How much am I expected to spend to heal, get rid of the scars? Most patients spend about $5,000 to $7,000 on their scars. I'm 26, but my sisters were teens in the thousands, and I missed their sidekick phones. Yeah, even their phones were better, right? Like, and it wasn't like the tracking. You weren't worried like that they were sitting there tracking and listening to you. Did you guys see that whole thing with Apple that were listening to our conversations, even if you had Siri off? Like, with this, like, it's insane. And all they have to pay is $96 million, which is just a drop in the bucket for these guys. It's like nothing. And just like, okay, go ahead and spy on us, and you just get charged $96 million. That's it. So I don't know. It was a good era. That's all I'm saying. 2000 2010 was one of the best eras ever. And I was around in the 80s. 80s were okay, nothing special. But like 90s are nothing that special. But like 2000, 2010, excellent time period. What treatment was this and how many sessions? So this was with TCA cross, with subcision. This was with laser. And we did also some Bellafill as well. And then we did a little bit more TCA cross and more Bellafill for him. Is the healing process painful? No, not at all. It's not painful at all. It's actually really not bad because when we're doing this, essentially we do a ton of numbing, and you do a lot of moisturizers afterwards. Do we do payment plans? We do almost every single kind of payment plan. So yeah, absolutely. Just talk to my team. They'll help you out with the payment plan. Where are we located? We're in Newport Beach, California. How many sessions are needed for severe box scar and ice pick scars? Well, that's going to be the toughest one because severe ice pick and box scar scars need multiple sessions. It depends. I don't know, what your ethnicity is. I find certain ethnicities, it's really, really quick. Sometimes it could just take like 6 months or something like that. Some other patients, it could take a lot longer though. It's usually like a year and a half sometimes for other ethnicities. And, just genetics plays a role, where your patients are from. So South Asian is probably going to be like a year and a half, to be honest with you. It depends. So that's also like, how much oil production you have, all other things all factor into it, and how deep the scars are. But a lot of times it's just going to be about a year and a half. Some other ethnicities, it's a lot faster. Or just, the different kinds of scars that patients may have. The clinic I go to say they don't recommend TCA cross, and I don't know why. Probably because they don't know how to do it. That's probably the truth though. That's why, I'm glad they didn't do it on you. And Sailor Moon's saying that too. Like, I'm glad they didn't pretend to do it. Yeah. If they don't know how to do it, they shouldn't do it, really. So good thing they didn't touch your skin. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really good interaction. I was not able to go on some of the other platforms here. So I appreciate all of you guys for helping with the questions. And I'll try to do a poll to see where we're going to end up going. I still want to keep doing this, and we'll see. I'm not sure. Where we're going to just always be every single time. Are rolling scars harder to treat? No, actually, they're kind of easier to treat. Someone's saying that getting my scars healed is one of my New Year's resolutions. I'm 30. How old is too old? It's really never too old. I have patients in their 70s actually who've done these treatments. They want to feel better, look better. There's no problem at all. We could do it. Appreciate all of you